What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to give you my 2023 ACC Conference Football Post-Spring Rankings for the upcoming 2023 college football season. Yesterday, I gave you my SEC football post-spring rankings from yesterday. You can go back and watch that video if you have not seen it yet. And we're posting these. We're giving you every single Power 5 conference here for their post-spring conference rankings here. We're ranking the teams, based off of spring practices and also following their spring games as well. And which teams that maybe have a really good chance to have a really good season as well. So, again, you can go back and watch that SEC video from yesterday. Now we're doing the ACC here today. Again, we're going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top. We'll start, from 14, and then we'll work all the way to number 1. And we'll see which team has the best shot. But these are obviously followed by the spring practices and, of course, the spring football games. And also, I gave you a post-spring top 25 video a few days ago as well, so you can go back and watch that video if you haven't missed that as well. But let's get right into it here with my ACC football post-spring rankings here for the 2023 season. We'll start with number 14. And number 14 is going to be Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a team that, went 3-7 last year. And I kind of don't expect this team to be really good this season. I don't know how good they're going to be honest, from where they were from last year. And that has to put that, with that, I have to put Virginia Tech here at number 14. I just don't know how good this team is going to be, but I think this team is capable of, having a better season, but maybe it won't be a bowl-eligible year for Virginia Tech. You never know about this team. Maybe they could be once again bad this year, but last year they had a first-season head coach, so that was the reason why I think they had a pretty tough season last year. So Virginia Tech here at number 14. Number 13 is going to be Virginia, a team that's also kind of similar to Virginia Tech. This is a team that I just don't know how good they're going to be either. I expect Virginia to, not be as really good as, I'm expecting them to be. This is a team that, was bad last year. They've been bad now for the last few years now. And Virginia, I'm not saying they're like a really, really terrible team, but it's just, when it comes down to these, teams and everything, you have to put them at a certain number here in these rankings. And Virginia here, I think, is at number 13. I think they're ahead of just Virginia Tech, but last year they didn't play against each other, so it's really hard to tell where to put these teams at. But Virginia, I think, is slightly ahead of Virginia Tech here, and again, Virginia, last year went 3-7 overall. Virginia Tech went 3-8. So both Virginia Tech and Virginia had pretty tough seasons last year. They're number 14 and number 13 here on this list, but Virginia is number 13. Number 12 is Wake Forest. Wake Forest, a team last year that, definitely competed in the ACC. They definitely competed against one of the top teams in the ACC from last year. But Wake Forest, I think this will be a kind of a step-back year for them. Obviously, losing Sam Hartman is a big question mark for this Wake Forest team. It comes down to that quarterback position. I'm not too concerned, though, about, the offense for Wake Forest, and I think they're a really good team still without Sam Hartman. I think they are still a better program perhaps in the ACC, but the loss of Sam Hartman hurts them, and that's why they ended up here a little bit lower here in the rankings here in the post-spring. And we just haven't seen what Wake Forest can do without Sam Hartman just yet. We'll find out in the later part of the season when it comes in 2023. But Wake Forest, I think they're still a talented team even without Sam Hartman perhaps. So we'll see what happens there for their upcoming season. They're number 12 here in these post-spring rankings. Number 11 is going to be Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a team that, is coming off a 5-7 record last year. They could be a really good, decent team this season. However, I just don't know if Georgia Tech's going to be, able to live up to those expectations. The schedule for them is obviously tough this year, and it's always pretty brutal. They have to play Clemson on the schedule every year. They also have to play Georgia in the non-conference, which that's a rival game. And they also have to play Ole Miss in the non-conference. So you have a really tough schedule there for Georgia Tech. That's the reason why they are so low in these post-spring rankings. But, I think they're ahead. I think they're slightly ahead of, Wake Forest right now. That could change. I think they're way ahead of, Virginia and Virginia Tech because they did have bad seasons last year. And I think Georgia Tech was slightly better than them last year. So Georgia Tech here at number 11, but I think this team has still got a long way to go before they can get back to, being competitive in the ACC. They're number 11 here on these post-spring rankings. Number 10 is going to be Boston College. Boston College took a step back year from a year ago. This is a team that's coming off a 3-9 season. I didn't expect this team to be really good last year. I kind of expect them to be good this season. I think this is probably maybe a 5, 6, 7 win team. Perhaps they do have a lot of production coming back, a decent amount of production coming back for them. And with the returning production for them, that's why they ended up here in the top 10. But I don't think they're quite there on the level, of NC State, North Carolina, Clemson, and Florida State, obviously, and obviously some other teams there like Miami, for example. I just don't think they're quite on the level of those teams yet. Maybe this season they could probably have a really good season. And maybe in a couple years or so, they could probably, start to compete in the ACC a little bit more. But Boston College, I think this is a team with a really good, chance to have a pretty good season, maybe to go bowling perhaps. With all the production they have coming back, that's really good news there. So Boston College here ends up here at number 10. Number 9 is Duke, a team that last year made a lot of, history. Of course, 9-4 last year. They made a lot of, great efforts last season as well. Duke does have a pretty tough schedule this year. They do open up with Clemson there to begin the season, but it is a home game. But I think Duke is going to be another great team this year. This is a team with a lot of production coming back. However, I can't put them here in the top 5 because they don't have, the 5-star talents like Clemson, North Carolina, and, obviously Miami perhaps. But I think, maybe next year, let's say if Duke has a pretty good season this year, they will start to compete in the ACC for next year, and they could probably, obviously, be a contender for the ACC championship as well. And there are no divisions in the ACC this season, so it's going to be a pretty wide-open conference. We'll see what happens for Duke, though. But like I said, this is a team that returns a lot of production coming into 2023, and that's how they ended up here at number 9. Number 8 is Syracuse. Team that's coming off a 7-5 record from last year, a team that I kind of expect to be a decent team. I don't think they're going to be a really good team, not like a great team perhaps, on the level with Clemson and North Carolina and Florida State. But I kind of expect them to be that dark horse contender in the ACC conference. And, same thing with Duke. I kind of expect this team to be dark horse contenders perhaps. It's starting with Boston College. I think you can probably call them a dark horse contender, but, definitely from Duke all the way to, number 6 team are definitely dark horse contenders in the ACC. So Syracuse, though, coming off a 7-5 record in the regular season last year, this is a team that I did not expect to have a pretty good season last year, but they're now back to their winning ways. They're starting to compete with the ACC a little bit more this upcoming season. So that's how they ended up here at number 8 here in these post-spring rankings. Number 7 is going to be Louisville. I expect this team to be a lot better this upcoming season. They do have a new head coach with Jeff Brom, the former Louisville quarterback back in the old days. Louisville has not been the same team as they were back in the early 2010s. I think this could be a team that, maybe makes a jump this season in the ACC. Plus, with no divisions in the ACC, it really helps them out. So Louisville, and also if you look at their schedule, they have the easiest schedule in all of the conference. I mean, if you go back and watch my top 10 easy schedule videos that I did, maybe last month perhaps, I mean, you can go back and watch that video, and Louisville has a really easy schedule. They don't have to play anybody tough out of the ACC. They don't have to play Clemson on the schedule, which is really good news there. And, Louisville has the easiest schedule, I believe, in the ACC this upcoming season. So they're number 7 here. And also, with Jeff Brom coming back in Louisville, I think he'll motivate this team well enough, maybe to lead them to a really good season. So Louisville here at number 7. Number 6 is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh here coming off a pretty tough season last year, but, it was a step back year for them after they lost Kenny Pickett a couple years ago. But, I think Pittsburgh is still up there with the top teams in the ACC, like, for example, North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State perhaps, and Miami perhaps as well for NC State. The ACC is wide open every single year, so it's no question about it. There's so many teams that can win the ACC. But Pittsburgh is right there as a dark horse contender in the ACC as well. And like I said, this was a step-back year for them. Maybe it's another step-back year for them this upcoming season. We don't know how good this team will be, but I think they're definitely right there in that conversation to be a dark horse contender. So they're number 6 here in my post-spring rankings for the ACC. And now the top 5 here, these are the top contenders in my opinion heading into next year. Number 5 is Miami, a team that's coming off a 5-7 record. This team should be a lot better than they were last year. Tyler Van Dyke, is coming back this season, so that's the good news there for Miami. Obviously, he got hurt during the season, so that kind of hurt them down the stretch. Plus, the schedule was pretty tough for them last year as well. I think the schedule kind of sets up nicely for them. Yes, they do play Texas A&M in the non-conference, but they do get that game at home. So Miami, I think, will be a better team this year, and I still think they're one of those top contenders in the ACC, even though they had a 5-7 record from last season. I think this will be a better team in 2023, so they ended up here at number 5 on this list. Number 4 is NC State. You're probably thinking, how is NC State ahead of Miami? Well, it's also just based off of last year. Miami's going to have the talent, more than NC State, but I think this is still a talented NC State team, without Devin Leary. Of course, he's gone to Kentucky. That really kind of hurts them, but I don't really see any concerns for NC State on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. I do concern about the quarterback position a little bit for this NC State team, but I think this is still going to be a decent team in the ACC. I don't think they're going to be quite there on the level of Clemson or, of course, Florida State perhaps, but they've been on the level of Clemson and Florida State for a while. Remember a couple years ago they defeated Clemson in 2021 at home, and this year they do get them at home this season. So, you're talking about an NC State team that could be a dark horse contender in 2023. So don't really sleep on the Wolfpack in 2023. They're number 4 here in my post-spring rankings for the ACC. Number 3 is North Carolina. So we start to talk about the 2 North Carolina teams now on the Tar Heels. Drake May is coming back at quarterback, probably one of the top quarterbacks in the ACC heading into 2023 besides Caleb Klubnik of Clemson. But I think North Carolina definitely is a top contender in the ACC next year. And with Drake May coming back, that's going to be huge for them. Drake May obviously had some big numbers last year, and I kind of expect him to be the same way this season. If he stays healthy, if he stays consistent, North Carolina is going to be a really dangerous team. I'm not really too concerned about their schedule either. So North Carolina here, I think with Drake May, like I said, coming back, it's definitely going to help them out a lot. So North Carolina here at number 3, definitely one of those top contenders for 2023 heading into next year. Number 2 is Florida State. Florida State, a team with a lot of production coming back, and they definitely deserve to be here in the top 3 for the top contenders in the ACC. It's just all the production they have coming back. They've also done a nice job in the transfer portal. And I don't think their schedule is all that bad, LSU to start out the year, but they do have to play, almost every ACC team on the schedule. They have to play 2 SEC teams, by the way, on the schedule with Florida and LSU, but you couldn't ask for a, better schedule perhaps, and also with the experience that you have coming back, that's going to be huge for them. Jordan Travis, potential Heisman contender, and he was on my top 10 quarterbacks list, heading into the 2023 season. I'm not too concerned about this team, but, I'm really concerned if they won't live up to those expectations that we think they're going to do. But, Clemson, I think Florida State still has a long way to go, but, I think the Seminoles are definitely a top contender heading into next year. They're number 2 here on this list. But number 1 is obviously going to be Clemson. I can't really, predict against this team. I would probably put Florida State here at number 1, but I still think Clemson is the top team in the ACC heading into next year as of right now. Clemson, I am concerned about their offense. The defense, I'm not too concerned about it. I am kind of concerned for Caleb Klubnik, though. If he doesn't, if he gets under pressure, he definitely has to throw the ball away, and he also takes too long to throw the football. He's got a long way to go. He's got a long way to go before he can actually be a real good quarterback in the ACC for next year. But Clemson, I think, is still the top team in the ACC heading into 2023. I don't really see any concerns, like I said, with the defense, but the offense has got to get it going and hasn't been good in the last couple years, and they've had to switch coordinators throughout the years as well. So Clemson here at number 1. And those are my ACC post-spring rankings for the upcoming 2023 season. Let me guys know what you think about these ACC post-spring rankings. Let down in the comments below. Who do you think deserves to be higher? Who do you think needs to be lower on these rankings? Let me know down in the comments below, and stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.